Hello again, YouTube. Brown and Beige community here again, and today I'm coming at you guys with a new topic. But first, before I begin, I would like to once again address my first video, the victims of colorism that no one is talking about. Obviously, by the way that video has been received, I can tell that it was a conversation that people have been waiting to have, because the video as of now has nearly 1,000 views, 38 likes, and no dislikes. I could tell already by how little people are talking about it that people were waiting to hear a light-skinned man's point of view from colorism. And today's topic is blackwashing. Yes, you heard right, blackwashing. Darker skinned actors portraying light-skinned characters, because we usually hear about this the other way around a lot, particularly Alexandra Shipp playing Storm, because we saw the reaction for that and how people were just in a complete uproar. Basically, videos on top of videos telling Alexandra Shipp that she needs to stay in her place. She's not in position to play Storm, yada yada yada. But we never really hear about this from the other way around, because believe it or not, there are actually a lot more light-skinned actors that have been portrayed by people much darker than them. And today I will be highlighting those actors, because believe it or not, there is a lot more than a lot of people seem to realize. So today, we're going to speak on them. First off, we'll start with the obvious one, and that's Denzel Washington portraying Malcolm X. And this is the one that kind of bugs me the most, because Malcolm X is a figure that I really looked up to, even in my pro-black days. And I just find it very ironic that he was played by Denzel Washington. Now, I know Denzel Washington is probably one of the best, if not the best actors of all time. But honestly, Malcolm X was really light, and Denzel Washington is nowhere near his color. I'm just confused here, because if somebody light-skinned portrayed somebody like Martin Luther King, people would be online crying about white supremacy, colorism, and everything. But since Denzel Washington, a much darker man, portrayed Malcolm X, nobody really talked about it. In fact, a lot of people applauded him for it. And I'm just wondering, if this was the other way around, wouldn't people have something to say about it? Because I know there's a lot of people that would most definitely complain. They were complaining about Will Smith playing Richard Williams. And Richard Williams is nowhere near the level that Malcolm X was on. So I'm just confused as to why nobody really even addressed it. But we all know how this game goes. Hypocrisy in the black community once again. But let's move on to the next one. Next up on the list, we have Andre 3000 portraying Jimi Hendrix. Once again, Andre 3000 is much darker than Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix was regarded as one of the most influential guitarists in the 20th century. So I'm just confused as to how he was portrayed by somebody whose complexion is much darker than him. It's almost like Hollywood is trying to portray a certain image in the media, and light-skinned men are the ones that are getting the short end of the stick of that portrayal. And why isn't the black community saying absolutely anything about this? This pretty much was silent. Nobody said anything. Once again, people actually were praising it, because we all know what happens when we're miscast. Silence. Absolute silence. But let's go to a more obvious one that's really surprisingly wasn't talked about. And that is Parker Sawyers as Barack Obama. And you know what? You have to be kidding me. Do you really, really think if the 44th president was a dark-skinned man and they got somebody light-skinned like Obama's complexion to play him, do you really think that people wouldn't have anything to say about that? They would be online every day talking about how wrong it is that he took the role and he needs to stay in his place. It's not your time to portray it. Let a dark-skinned actor take this role, blah, 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 blah. But was it Parker Sawyer's role to take this role? Because Obama is nowhere near as dark as he is. And what's even more bizarre about it is that they had another movie with somebody who was more phenotypically similar to Obama. But I noticed something about the casting in that movie. For the most part, the more racially ambiguous Obama was the one portrayed with all different races. And that's something that caught my eye, because I find it weird. The darker skinned Obama was portrayed with black people, but the racially ambiguous one that's more phenotypically similar to Obama was portrayed to a more multicultural audience. So it makes me believe that is Hollywood purposely portraying us and not really portraying us as really being a part of the black community? Because how is the darker skinned Obama portrayed with black people, but the mixed, more phenotypical, similar Obama was not? And for all the people that don't know, the movie was Southside with You, and the other movie was Barry. But no protests over the Southside with You movie. In fact, I went to the comments in that movie, and a lot of people, somebody had the nerve to say, oh, well, they couldn't find a light-skinned actor to play the role, in a joking matter. And it was a black woman that said it. But I'm willing to bet you she would not have said that if it was a dark-skinned man. Oh, she would have been on there crying about colorism and white supremacy like everyone else. But we get miscast, and it's a joke. Okay. But let's see who else is on this list. Next up on the list, we have Andre Braugher portraying Benjamin O. Davis Jr. You got to be kidding me. Andre Braugher looks nothing like Benjamin O. Davis Jr. in the Tuskegee Airmen movie. Who does the casting for these movies? Because honestly, he looks absolutely nothing like Benjamin O. Davis Jr. And Benjamin O. Davis Jr. is not just somebody that just got pulled off the block and all that. He was a very, very important historical figure. He was a general, a lieutenant general for the Tuskegee Airmen, and was very, very influential in getting a lot of black Air Force members. So a historical figure like him can get miscast and nobody says anything? Benjamin O. Davis Jr. is somebody that most definitely should have had somebody that looked very similar to him portrayed. How can you get somebody like Andre Braugher who looks absolutely nothing like him? You have got to be kidding me. It's like Hollywood just doesn't seem to care at all. And apparently the black community doesn't seem to care at all either. But let's move on to another one. And in this next one, we have Denzel Washington once again portraying a light-skinned man by the name of Herman Boone, who he starred in a movie called Remember the Titans, a very, very well-known coach that led his team to the championship and was very highly regarded. And Denzel Washington apparently took 2 roles from light-skinned men. So where was the outcry? I don't get it. He took 2 roles from light-skinned men, basically. No outcry from the black community. no outcry from the light-skinned community, but let a light-skinned man just keep portraying roles for dark-skinned. We would have heard about it from every end of the earth. But once again, he can just do whatever he wants and nobody's going to say anything. Let's see who else. Next up, we have a huge one as Nate Parker portrayed Nat Turner. And Nat Turner, from historical documents, was described as rather light in color, but not a mulatto, with a straight, long, flat nose. So basically, Nat Turner, who led one of the greatest slave revolts in history, and I most definitely had read up about him a lot. I never knew that he was light-skinned. In fact, I never would have known if it was up to movies. In fact, the first way I learned about it was from Light Skin Love, in our exercise video with the light-skinned actors and dark-skinned actor. You can go on YouTube and just look it up. I would have never known that he was light-skinned, and believe it or not, when I first heard about it, I was very, very shocked that nobody really talked about it. And it really got me thinking that very day when I heard it, that is the black community hiding stuff like this? Because Nat Turner is a really big historical figure, and once again he was portrayed by somebody who looks absolutely nothing like him. I thought Light was right, because apparently it doesn't seem that way, because it seems like a lot of light-skinned male historical figures are getting portrayed by dark-skinned men regularly. Nobody really is talking about it at all. What is going on here? I don't really understand. But it really seems like there is an agenda here to portray a certain image in the media, because you do not see this much of a particular demographic of men being miscast this regularly, unless there's an agenda. But let's move on to another big one. Next up on the list, we have Chadwick Boseman portraying Thurgood Marshall in the movie Marshall. And this one is just insane, because we all know Chadwick Boseman was in Black Panther as Black Panther. And you cast him as Thurgood Marshall, the first ever African American member of the Supreme Court of Justice? That's not really somebody that you can just miscast. And his casting was way off. And you know what's funny about it? I remember during the casting for Black Panther, they had cast Amanda Steinberg, I believe that's how you say her name, turned down a role to be in Black Panther because, quote unquote, she felt she was too light to be in that movie. Why she did that, I will never know. So basically, she's too light to be in Black Panther, yet Chadwick Boseman could play Thurgood Marshall. Really? Really? Like, who? Who's doing the casting for this? Y'all have to be borderline insane to think that you could just cast him. So apparently she was too light to be in Black Panther, but Chadwick Boseman can play Thurgood Marshall. And believe it or not, this was not the first time that Thurgood Marshall was miscast. Sidney Poitier portrayed him in Separate but Equal, and that was even more ridiculous. So apparently Thurgood Marshall they just decided just not to portray him and his image at all. But it really seems like to me that Hollywood is intentionally miscasting light-skinned men for some mysterious reason. I'm not sure what. But let's carry on, because I could go on this one all day. But next up, we have Don Cheadle portraying Ralph Petey Green in the movie Talk to Me. As Ralph Petey Green was a well-regarded TV show host and activist in the black community, and Don Cheadle portrayed him. And again, Don Cheadle looks absolutely nothing like Ralph Petey Green. They could have found so many more actors that look more phenotypically similar to him, but they picked somebody who is just way off in the color spectrum. Again, I say, why didn't nobody talk about this? He looks absolutely nothing like Ralph Petey Green, yet people were up in arms about Will Smith portraying Richard Williams. Yet this guy looks absolutely nothing like Ralph Petey Green, and people just keep, oh, well, it doesn't matter, he portrayed him well. Okay then. So it shouldn't, I guess if Black Panther was light-skinned, I guess we could say, oh, it doesn't matter, he portrayed him well. Oh, you guys wouldn't want to hear that though. It would be colorism and white supremacy, wouldn't it? Let's see who else we have on this list. Next up, we have Forrest Whitaker portraying Eugene Allen in the movie The Butler. Again, he looks nothing like Eugene Allen. What is up with these castings? They look absolutely nothing like the characters or real life figures. This guy was a well-known butler for the White House, the first ever African-American one at that. Why do they keep miscasting these guys? No, absolutely no protests. Again, I'm just at a loss for words here. Why exactly is nobody ever talking about this? And you know what's even more insane? His wife, by the name of Helen Allen, was also miscast. For a lot of the people that are always talking about how light-skinned women always are taking roles from dark-skinned women, yet Oprah Winfrey portrayed Helen Allen. So both of their characters were poorly cast. Isn't that erasure technically? Because I'm willing to bet you if it was the other way around, with a dark-skinned male and female being miscast for light-skinned people, we would never hear the last of it. So why exactly is nobody ever talking about these miscastings? Something is not adding up with this. It's like the black community is blatantly hypocritical to light-skinned people in situations like this. What's going on? But anyway, next we have John David Washington portraying Ron Stallworth in the movie Black Klansman, recreating the story of the man that infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan. And yet again, he looks absolutely nothing like the man. It's really, really surprising to me how they just keep recreating these same narratives. It's really like Hollywood has like almost a disdain towards casting light-skinned men, because it's pretty obvious that John David Washington is way darker than Ron Stallworth. But these were the same people that were complaining about Will Smith playing Richard Williams. Yet this movie's casting is off and nobody's saying anything. This guy received honors for what he did, and he exposed a lot of members of the Ku Klux Klan. Once again, no outcry from the black community. Of course, no outcry from the light-skinned community, because we all know how the light-skinned community is. But anyway, let's move on to another one. Next, we have Mahershala Ali as Don Shirley in the movie Green Book, a movie in which he won an Emmy, by the way. Don Shirley was a well-known jazz artist, because myself, I love jazz music. I love it. It's one of my favorite genres of music. But once again, he benefited from being in a role that was basically not meant for him technically if we want to go by the social justice pro-black warriors logic. He basically won a reward for a man's accomplishments that looked absolutely nothing like him. But once again, nobody really said anything. Again, he looks absolutely nothing like Don Shirley. At all. Not at all. Where was the outcry for this? This guy won an Emmy basically off of this guy. He basically benefited from a role that a lighter skinned man could have had. But the black community wasn't going to say anything because we're all black in these narratives. But had this been the other way around, we would have heard about it all day, every day. But let's go to a very obvious and blatant one that's just absolutely ridiculous. As Morgan Freeman is set to play Colin Powell in a biopic, basically. And what? Are they even trying to make these characters look like themselves? Or make these figures look like themselves? Morgan Freeman, you guys could have picked anybody else, but you chose Morgan Freeman, a guy who looks absolutely nothing like Colin Powell. That's just insane to me. It's like they just don't cast light-skinned men for these roles. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's really like Hollywood is just trying to portray dark-skinned men as the only black men. Because light-skinned men are really getting the short end of the stick in these movie roles. Like they're better off just finding a light-skinned man that just hasn't been in that many movies and portraying them like this. But they just keep picking men who look absolutely nothing like these figures. And we're supposed to just sit back and just let them do it? In the name of pro-blackness? Really? Do we always have to get the short end of the stick? If we were to switch up and make, if any of these figures were dark-skinned and they were light-skinned men playing them, these dudes would be online crying about colorism and white supremacy all day, every day. But we get miscast all of a sudden. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter who plays them because we're all black. We're all black. We have to be in this together. Stop dividing the black community. Yeah, we're all black. You know, we can't divide by skin tone anymore. That's Willie Lynch syndrome. Oh, don't turn against your fellow black man. Okay then. Would you guys be saying that if it was the other way around? Because we still hear about Storm to this very day. And Nina Simone. Oh, and before you guys say anything, don't worry. I will be addressing some more very soon. But let's go with one more. Well, at least for now. Next, we have Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think that's how you say his name. That's Solomon Northup in the movie 12 Years a Slave, the movie that I saw, by the way, good movie, as his mother was basically summed up by historical documents as a quadroon. 1/4 African American, 3/4 white men. That's, if we want to be technical, that would make her basically white in today's society. So basically Solomon Northup was basically biracial technically by today's documents, and once again he was poorly cast because he looked absolutely nothing like them. He did a little bit, but they could have done a much better job. 12 Years a Slave, he was a freedman that was basically kidnapped and sold back into slavery. And the guy that they had play him looked absolutely nothing like him. Again, it's like Hollywood is trying to portray a certain image here. He looks absolutely nothing like or Salem and Northup. So again, I say, this seems like erasure to me. I thought we were supposed to be the ones that were represented everywhere, because it seems to me like that's not true at all. Like, can somebody explain this one to me? Because I'm confused here. But anyway, I've already told you guys about most of the light-skinned black male figures that have been portrayed. But now I think, but trust me, there's still some more, but we'll get into those a little bit later. But now I think we'll go to a group of women, light-skinned women, that have been misrepresented, because we most definitely don't really hear about this one, since most, accordingly to the colorism crybaby brigade, light-skinned women are supposedly promoted everywhere. But here are some very well-to-do light-skinned females that have been miscast, starting off with Angela Bassett as Rosa Parks. Are you serious? Angela Bassett as Rosa Parks. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Rosa Parks, one of the pioneers of the civil rights movement, and you cast Angela Bassett. I mean, we all know how Rosa Parks looked. I mean, could it not be any more obvious? Like, where was the outcry for this? Because we most definitely know what would have happened if this was the other way around. We would still be hearing about it to this very day. It would have been one of Twitter's most infamous talking points. But since it's a light-skinned woman, oh no, just throw it to the side. Nope. Oh no, we're not going to talk about that. No. Nope. Toss it to the side. Oh no, we don't want them to hear about that, because that's when they'll start questioning things. That's when they'll start questioning the narrative. Oh no, we don't want them to see this. We don't want to see our narrator being challenged by stuff like this. No, we don't want light-skinned women to hear about that. No sirree. Nope. Rosa Parks. No outcry. You gotta be kidding me. But let's go to another one. And that is Keisha Sharp as Eartha Kitt. And this one is really bad casting, because if you read up under Eartha Kitt's story, she was basically disowned by what was described as a father figure in her life for her pale complexion. And they still couldn't find anyone that was phenotypically accurate to her, even with that major point in her life. So I'm curious as to why no one talked about this. Eartha Kitt sung the song Santa Baby, and I just recently figured out that she had sung it. So Keisha Sharp is playing Eartha Kitt when she looks absolutely nothing like Eartha Kitt. Why isn't no one talking about this? Oh, I forgot. It's a light-skinned woman. Light-skinned people can get roles taken from us because darker skinned people have it so much worse, right? Light-skinned privilege, right? Okay. This woman got disowned by a father figure in her life for having a pale complexion, and you guys find somebody that looks absolutely nothing like her and just throw that story under the bus? Come on, really? This is getting ridiculous. But next, we have Angela Bassett once again portraying Tina Turner. Again, Angela Bassett is way darker than Tina Turner. Angela Bassett is really, really dark. So once again, she took a role from a light-skinned woman. 2 roles. I just started light-skinned women's list, and it's 2 roles already taken by one person. Really? Really? Like, you can't be serious. Why? Why is nobody ever talking about it when it's a light-skinned person getting the role taken from? You know what? This is starting to prove more and more every day. Like, what's going on here? This proves more and more every day why it seems like light-skinned people are getting the short end of the stick in the black community. Because we can't take roles from anyone else, but they can take roles from us, and we're supposed to just roll over and accept it because we're all black, remember? Okay. Alright. Next, we have Keisha Sharp again, who portrayed Thurgood Marshall's first wife in the movie Marshall. So, 2 miscastings in the same movie once again. It's like Marshall they just decided to just pick 2 people who look absolutely nothing like Thurgood Marshall and his wife. And you know what? Nobody said anything. In fact, people actually were applauding it, surprisingly. Like, people were saying, oh, what's his name? Chadwick Boseman could play so many roles, yada, yada, yada. But nobody was talking about how Chadwick Boseman or Keisha Sharp looked nothing like Thurgood Marshall or Vivian Marshall. Where was the outcry for this? You guys are applauding this? I bet you wouldn't be applauding it if it was the other way around, would you? Oh, no, of course not, because you are the one getting the short end of the stick. But when we get the short end of the stick, we're supposed to just sit back, roll over, and accept it, right? Because we're all black, right? Right? Okay. Right. But let's move on to a big one. Next up, we have Octavia Spencer as Dorothy Vaughan, I believe that's how you say her name, in the movie Hidden Figures. And you know, this one really is disappointing to me. Because if you look at Dorothy Vaughan, she was about as light as you could get. And they cast Octavia Spencer because I know dark-skinned women are always complaining about how they underrepresented in the media. But look at this. You know, young light-skinned girls could have looked at the movie in Hidden Figures and said, that girl looks like me. Yeah, she was the one who helped calculate the trajectories for the Apollo 11 launch. Yeah, a girl in my image did that. Yeah. Maybe I'll go into NASA and calculate space trajectories too, right? Since light is right. But basically they find Octavia Spencer, who looks nothing like the woman at all. Nobody said anything about this. In fact, you know, the funny thing about these movies is a lot of times these movies get Emmy awards, basically. So they basically get Emmys off of light-skinned people's contributions, but we're the same people who told us that we shouldn't be in Black Panther. Are you kidding me? Like, are y'all really that stupid? So basically, you can take our accomplishments in movies and get Emmys and awards for it, but will be the same ones that would kick us out of Black Panther because we're quote-unquote too light? Huh? Could you please make this make sense for me? I'm just baffled by all of this. Somebody needs to come out here and explain this hypocrisy to me because I am really, really confused. Next up, we have Angela Bassett for the 3rd time as Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott King, the one who led the civil rights movement. You guys couldn't even get her right. No outcry once again. I mean, Angela Bassett I don't see why people are so up in arms about Amanda Steinberg, because it's pretty obvious, like, people like Angela Bassett, Denzel Washington, and Keisha Sharp could really care less if they take roles from light-skinned people. So why should we care about starring in movies and roles when it's pretty obvious that they'll take a role from a light-skinned person just like that? Coretta Scott King, y'all couldn't get her right. You know how many people they could have found for this? Nobody said anything. What about the light-skinned saviors? I mean, where do they be in conversations like this? Because they will hop online in a heartbeat and tell other light-skinned people what they're supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to be acknowledging. But you never see them talking about this for some odd, mysterious reason. Why? Where do you light-skinned saviors be in situations like this? Oh, wait, I forgot. Defending light-skinned people isn't part of the light-skinned savior resume, right? Defending your own phenotype isn't part of it, right? Because a lot of you want to know the truth, especially for the light-skinned saviors listening right now. Most of you guys only are looking for acceptance from the black community. Point blank, period. Because you guys will not say anything about any of the people on this list that I've named, but would be the same ones that would jump on a heartbeat if it was the other way around. Like, you guys have to be mentally ill if you don't see this. Come on. There's not that much delusion in the world. Next up, we have Diana Ross as Billie Holiday. Now, Diana Ross is not really as the darkest woman in the world, but Billie Holiday was also really, really light. So, again, a miscasting. This is just ridiculous how many light-skinned figures have been miscast. Billie Holiday, a jazz singer, is the same as Don Shirley. It's like these people keep getting recognition for light-skinned people's accomplishments. But again, we're told that we're not supposed to be in movies like Black Panther or anything. But these people will sure take a role like us, just like that. Oh, light-skinned people are going to say nothing. Nope. We'll just sit back and just let the black community do whatever it wants to do with us. Kick us out and rope us in anytime it sees fit. And we accept it. We just accept it. We don't say nothing. We don't do nothing. We just continue to let this stuff go on. We look like complete fools. Fools. I'm not sugarcoating it anymore. This stuff has to be called out. It has to. It really does. But for the most part, that was mostly all the light-skinned figures, at least that I could find, that were part of it. And you know what? The black community, if you looked, these people didn't have anything to say about any of these figures being miscast. Nothing. Nobody said anything. But these were the same people that were up in arms about Alexander Shipp playing Storm, or Will Smith playing Richard Williams. Heck, even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson playing John Henry, because a lot of these people will say, oh, well, we didn't say anything. But if you go online on the video, they'll say, oh, The Rock is only black when it's convenient. Oh, biracial people are only black when it's convenient. We have to kick them out of the black community. But nobody said anything about this. I'll even give you a couple fictional characters that they miscast. Jamie Foxx as that iconic George Jefferson. You really? Jamie Foxx is George Jefferson. You guys couldn't have found anybody better than him in the Jefferson reboot. Again, nobody said nothing. No outcry. You think, especially since it was today, that people would have more to say about it. I was stunned by the amount of silence that this one got. Nobody said anything. And once again, he got praised for it. This is insane to me. It really is. Nobody is talking about it. They can take roles from us and we just are supposed to just roll over and accept it. But if we do it to them, all of a sudden it's colorism, white supremacy, and all that. Ooh, it's just insane. But then we have Superfly, which was also not talked about. The original Superfly from the 70s was also a light-skinned man, and he was replaced by Trevor Jackson in the reboot. And he looks absolutely nothing like the original guy. I forgot his name, but nobody said anything about that at all. Again, nobody said nothing. And believe it or not, in the Iron Man series, because you know I used to watch that series, the Iron Man movie series, the original War Machine was actually Terrence Howard. Yes, originally War Machine was supposed to be played by Terrence Howard, but he had a little financial problems with the movie because for some reason they didn't pay him what he felt he needed to, and he disputed it. And I believe it had something to do with Robert Downey Jr., but he would have to go on a article and look it up. So what did they do? They got rid of him and recast him as Don Cheadle. And Don Cheadle basically was War Machine because they didn't pay Terrence Howard. And it just flew over the heads of a lot of Negroes. Nobody said anything, but if it was the other way around, we would hear about it like crazy. It just flew over the Negroes' heads like crazy. Nobody said nothing. It just tossed to the side. No one said nothing. In fact, I'll tell you another one. Mixed-ish. As Bo's original mom from the Blackish series was nowhere near as dark as Tyka Sumter. I mean, Tyka Sumter was way, way darker than the original Rainbow's mom on Blackish. But I noticed that people are complaining about that show. I went on YouTube and I saw nothing but a bunch of videos from black people talking about, oh, Mixed-ish, they need to take 1,000 seats and sit down on it. Why? Why? Mixed people should have their own show. So basically, you black people are complaining about mixed people having their own show now. You know what? The entitlement that a lot of these people have. And you know what, light-skinned people? It's your fault. Because you guys let them get away with this stuff. You just sit back and let them say anything and you don't challenge it at all. You do absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. And you wonder why they keep doing it. Stop laying down and letting them treat you like this. What? What are they going to say? Oh, you have light-skin privilege. Light-skin privilege? All we have to do is just walk out in the open and see how fake that is, because a lot of people are always talking about how privileged light-skinned people are. Where is it? Where's the wealth? Where's the power? Where's the resources? Like, it's funny to me how nobody ever seems to bring that up in conversations like this. All people, light-skinned people, just roll over and say, oh, yeah, you're right. House slave, field slave. Yep, we are privileged. Privilege, privilege, privilege. But where is this privilege? If I got one question for a lot of you pro-blacks out there. If light-skinned people are really as privileged as you say, why are we part of the black community then? Since the black community is quote-unquote the most oppressed, why are we a part of it then? Since you guys always claim that you're at the bottom of society, right? So why are we part of it? Do you want to explain that one to me? Really? Do you? Do you? You can't keep using that as an excuse to make up for garbage like this. In fact, I forgot to add another one to this list. How about Tyler Perry as Colin Powell? Look at this. This is stupid. It looks even worse than Zoe Saldana as Nina Simone. What is this? What is this? Again, no one said anything. No protests. Nothing. Listen, light-skinned people. Don't keep letting the black community keep socially shaming you guys into not fighting back. Who cares what the black community says? Oh, light-skin privilege and blah, blah, blah. Like I said before, where's the wealth? Where's the power? Where's the resources? Until you guys can tell me where all those things are, stop it. Just stop it. Stop it, please. You're just making yourself look stupid. If light-skinned people really were as privileged as you guys say, why didn't nobody say absolutely nothing about any of these miscastings? Why? Where was the outcry? Where was it? Light-skinned men didn't get an outcry. Light-skinned women didn't get an outcry. Light-skinned people didn't say nothing. Nothing at all. But you know what? Don't you guys worry. Hopefully with videos like this, we can start having conversations like this. And hopefully my channel will inspire other people to make more channels so we can start calling stuff like this out. The time for silence and kumbaya-ness is over. It's time that we started addressing issues like this. But don't worry. This will change. It will. But until then, hit that like button, subscribe, comment. In fact, even add some people that I probably forgot. I'm sure there's probably even more if we do our detective work. But thanks for watching and peace out.